every minute. I'm Manios. I'm the CEO at Panda Surgical. We are a UCL, University College London spinout, and we've been in operation for a year and a half. Prior to this being an independent company, or a fundamental version of this used to be my PhD, so it holds a very dear place in my heart. At Panda Surgical, we have an incredibly focused mission, and that is to introduce the first ever handheld robotic platform for minimally invasive neurosurgery to make these operations safer, more effective, and more widely adopted through enhanced dexterity. And the reason we're focusing on neurosurgery is because we think there's a dire need for innovation in this space. Neurosurgery hasn't been updating in the same pace that other disciplines have, say, laparoscopy. And when we're specifically discussing about removing tumors from brain and spine, what surgeons used to do back in the day, they would cut the patient open, and that, of course, would be incredibly dangerous, leading to a lot of fatalities. So in the 90s, they came up with these newer approaches where they would gain access to those confined spaces through natural orifices, such as the nose or the eyes, or tiny incisions on the top of the head or at the back of the patient. And while they could gain access to those spaces, they could see tumor with cameras, they could navigate to it with modern navigation systems. They are still using instruments they were using in the 90s. These graspers, scissors, dissectors, these are very rigid instruments that even when you get to those confined spaces, it's very difficult to manipulate tissue. Of course, this leads to a lot of incomplete resection. When resection is complete, you very often have complications because of how difficult these procedures are. And even in successful procedures, it still has taken a very long time to learn how to do these operations. Our inspiration on how to help in this space came from other disciplines where robotics is primarily used, such as laparoscopy. What robots give you in surgery is that enhanced dexterity, this articulation that can make tissue manipulation much more effective. In laparoscopy, the Da Vinci is a system that has been primarily used and has even gone to replace some of the standard approaches entirely. Sadly, this isn't the case in neurosurgery at all. The only couple of robots available are for biopsy or needle navigation, with no enhanced dexterity system available, commercially available out there until right now, because at Panda Surgical, this is exactly what we're developing, a miniature 3 millimeter in diameter dexterity enhancing handheld platform. Using our instruments, surgeons can penetrate deep tissues within the brain and spine anatomies and perform previously impossible delicate maneuvers with wrist-like dexterity for more effective tissue manipulation, for increased tumor resection and reduced complications. We have an array of different end effectors, such as graspers, scissors, curettes, dissectors, depending on the task. And we've been testing the system in both cadaver and phantoms pretty much in the preclinical stage. The reason we went handheld with this technology is because, first and foremost, neurosurgery is very expensive. A very large teleop system would only add to that cost. But also, maybe more importantly, these procedures are very intricate. They have a lot of tool changes, and they have long operative times. So with a quick, seamless incorporated solution like a handheld robot, we think we can enhance these operations in the most effective manner. With our hardware, we're also developing software assistance tools, and what these tools do is they take our robotics data, they combine it with video data, and they come up with strong data analytic solutions that can make our surgeons better at using our technology, thus improving patient outcome even further. And while we think this is a very good solution for neurosurgery, we might be biased, we have checked with the community. We have interacted with almost 60 neurosurgeons now all around the world, and they have all identified the lack of dexterity as one of the main issues in these procedures. Very importantly, the vast majority, when asked, saw some value in our technology, and maybe most importantly of all, of the 47 now neurosurgeons that have hands-on experience with the device, 95% said they would use this in the clinical practice. Everyone else said, let's see it used in clinical data first. We think that's a very fair argument. Our journey to date started in May 2023, where we closed our first private investment. That was from a medical device company themselves called Primanova Technologies. And shortly thereafter, we followed up with a UK government grant for another £1 million in British pounds. We've been using that money to develop our product, protect the technology as much as we can, And we've held cadaver labs both in the UK and the US. Just earlier this year, we had our first FDA pre-submission, which shaped our pathway moving forward. We have two different approaches in Europe and in the US, and we do expect that FDA approval will come before a European approval. So we are currently, while we are attempting for both processes, we are focusing in the US market. We think we could achieve regulatory approval by the end of 2026, hoping for a quick follow-up in the European market. Our first portfolio product would be those tissue manipulation instruments I've been describing, those instruments that would allow for better tumor resection, but we hope to very quickly follow up with instruments we've already been developing, specialist instruments such as cameras, suction, and energy tools. Concurrently, we, of course, have been developing our software assistants, and while we want to offer this for neurosurgery, brain and spine specifically, we think neighboring disciplines such as ENT could benefit from the same technology. What all these procedures share is the clinical need for better dexterity for enhanced articulation in confined spaces. By bundling up all those different procedures, we think we can make an argument for a global problem that needs immediate solving, and thus creating a very attractive proposition for a sustainable business. Because we think that market opportunity is large, it's only natural. There's a lot of competitors in the space. And while there is both teleop and handheld robotic devices on the market, we think that none of them could be readily used in minimally invasive neurosurgery. And the reason we think that is because they're either too large or their control interfaces aren't designed for these large and long and narrow corridors. Our device, on the other hand, has been specifically designed for these approaches at 3 millimeters. We tie some of the smallest commercially available instruments out there. In combination with how inexpensive we are and our software assistants, we think we can make a strong argument for a complete solution for minimally invasive neurosurgery. And because I've been describing a grand problem, I do want to back it up with the expertise in our team. Panda Surgical was founded by a team of experts in both robotic and spine surgery. My clinical co-founder, Hani, he's also now our chief medical officer. He's a practicing neurosurgeon in the UK. He's even going to write some of the guidelines on how to perform these intricate procedures, whereas Dan, he's a UCL professor. He's also affiliated with Medtronic through his prior Medtech exit, and throughout Envision, they sold that company to Olympus a few months or years back. We have a full-time team of incredibly talented engineers that have taken us to this place with an accelerated fashion. And because we hadn't done this before, maybe except Dan, from day one, we recruited some very experienced Medtech veterans in Jeff and Dave, both at chief roles with Moon Surgical. Jeff specifically sitting on our board of directors as well, who have been advising on both business strategy and tech. We're a university spinout, meaning we have both the support of the uni as well as the university hospital. And as I mentioned prior, we've been having both private as well as public investments. Finally, we are looking to raise pretty soon. We would like to close this round by early next year. And we will be asking for $6 million in USD, hoping that this will get us to expand our team, further develop our pipeline products, do our first in-human trial in the UK, which we have already been organizing, with a clear goal that after that, we will focus on our first FDA submission for the US market approval. Thank you so much. If you'd like to learn more, I'd be very happy to discuss.